My dear friends, I'm going to ring the bell, which indicates that we are beginning to, and this is a very interesting word, we are convening. Because at the end, I will unconvene you, by ringing the bell. So my friends, you are convening. So my dear friends, a very, very heartfelt welcome to you in this beautiful circle of love, and to those wonderful people watching us on that magic of internet. Please know your presence physically here and online is truly a genuine blessing. Thank you.
Good morning, I'm Sally Joe. I will be happy to open the service this morning with some music by Amadeus Mozart and the Andante movement from his Sonata in C.
Good morning.
Good morning.
And as is our tradition, we start the service with first a mindful recognition of where we're at here. As Jamal says, we are convening here in this lovely building in this beautiful sanctuary. And those of us who are here physically need to be mindful of the fact that we are sitting on the ancestral home of the Duwamish people, who have been the stewards of this land long, long before we got here. And it's only right and only proper that we recognize them each week, and we do so. And we also honor our ancestors at this point. And so this morning, I thought I'd share with you a brief teaching from a Swinomish elder, Squeaquay Ray. And he says, nature speaks only in terms of poetry, the music of all parts of creation in concert with each other. The fabric of our thought is anchored in that poetry, which is the wellspring of knowing. Imagination is the ability for us to enter that flow of ancient knowledge in the present moment in response to the call of spirit and the invitation of the ancestors. We tap into it through meditation, prayer, and silence, through the imaginative parts of ourselves. At the right time, sometimes during initiation, the ancestors may select you to receive an ancestral song or vision. You don't pick the song yourself. The ancestors pick you after watching the way you have conducted your life. The song doesn't belong to you. We don't have intellectual property rights. It belongs to the world. It is a generational communication with one purpose: to bring balance to the family, the community, the society. This outward expression is for the being well of all. Thank you.
Thank you, Brother George.
So I'd like to share with us to share with you that Squy Ray Williams was a kind member with our community, and he led our Interspiritual Summit a number of years ago. And he did a beautiful practice with all of us where he led us in a procession through the sanctuary. And we got to experience that sense of ceremony in community. And we haven't seen him for a few years. If you would keep him in your prayers, he's had some health issues. So we give gratitude to Squy Ray Williams. So we also have a tradition here where we honor the sacred feminine, the divine feminine. And I have a prayer written by Anne Baring called A Prayer for a New Millennium. And the prayer begins this way. At the threshold of this new millennium, may the Holy Spirit of wisdom awaken us to a deeper sense of our relationship with the earth, with each other, and with the hidden dimensions of life still veiled from our sight. May her light and love shine through our hearts and illumine our minds. May she help us to become aware of the oneness and the sacredness of life, and to care for our neighbor as ourself. May she help us to recognize and transform evil, and to respond to the torment of all persecuted peoples as if it were our own. May she help us to see that evil is the willingness to inflict terror, pain, and humiliation, torture or death on another human being. May she heal those who are unable to love and who carry a deep wound caused by intolerable suffering in childhood. May they be released from the compulsion to inflict pain and suffering on others. May she free us from bondage to political and religious fanaticism, whose devastating legacy we witness today. May she guide us to choose conscious leaders who serve the true needs of all peoples and all species on this planet. May she help us to find the courage and determination to restrain the greed that is destroying the Earth's ecosystem and exploiting its resources for the benefit of our species alone. May she inspire us to offer our lives in service of the great web of living relationships that is her life and the life of the cosmos. May she give us the humility, the wisdom, strength, and compassion to accomplish the great work of transmuting our nature from base metal into gold. Amen.
My next offering will be The Girl with the Flaxen Hair by Claude Debussy.
My dear friends, once again, on behalf of myself, Reverend Karen Lindquist, a very, very heartfelt welcome to all of you in person and those of you who are streaming. My friends, let's start with a chant, praising the infinite, the indescribable, unutterable, inconceivable, knowing that when we praise mystery or divinity, God doesn't become holy, we become holy. Allahu Allah, Allahu Allah, Allahu Allah, Allahu Allah, Allahu Allah, Allahu Allah. Just the beloved women, please. Just the beloved men. Allahu Allah, Allahu Allah. Family all together. Allahu Allah, Allahu Allah. Once quietly. Allahu Allah, Allahu Allah. Twice aloud. Allahu Allah, Allahu Allah. And becoming very still and quiet and being open to what the mystics say, to the glow of presence. Thank you, my dear friends. So today the reflection, the talk is on honoring, integrating Divine Mother in humanity. So when I think of the word Divine Mother, as a Muslim, I think of this verse in the Quran which says, revere Allah. And the next line is, and revere the wombs that bore you. I repeat, the verse says, revere, honor, respect Allah. And immediately it says, and revere the wombs that bore you. You know, I'm very tempted to tell you this story, which I love, this traditional story in Islamic mysticism. That when God was thinking of creating humanity, God started thinking, you know, there'll be billions of people. I have to take care of each one of them every nanosecond at the same time. And besides human beings or other creation also, how do I do that? A brilliant cosmic idea came to God. God said, I will create a woman with a womb, a mother, and she will take care of the children. They'll relieve me from my duties. And the story ends there for many, many people, but the mystics say the story goes on. There's a deeper insight to this, because the truth is, God said, oh my, oh my, oh my, what have I done? What have I done? It was my privilege, my province, my prerogative to offer unconditional love, muhabbat it's called. But the mother began to give that. It was my province, my right to offer hifazat, meaning protection and devotion, but mother began to do that. It was my prerogative, my province to offer barakat, blessings. But the mother began to do that. And in course of time, it is the mother who became parvardigar. It's a Persian word, meaning God, divine. The woman, the mother became parvardigar, divine. And God said, oh, what have I done? Because I have become beruzgar. Ruzgar means livelihood. Be is without. I have become without livelihood. Just be with the story. It is about honoring the sacred womb, the divine mother. You know, the Divine Mother has a very special relationship with what we call God. Call it whatever you will, divinity, higher intelligence, Jesus. It doesn't matter. None of us know what God really is. But I love the story, the true story of the 9th century great spiritual teacher gathered outdoors with his adoring students, and the teacher, the Sufi master, telling the students, God is so compassionate. You know, all you have to do is knock on the door of God. Knock on the door of God. Keep knocking, 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 knocking. And one day, the door will open. And the beloved female sage Rabia, this was in Iraq, in Basra, she was passing through, and she heard what the master said. And she turned to the master and said, brother, when was the door ever closed? And the master got up and bowed to her. That special connection. You know, I remember very clearly when I was much younger, when truly my hair was black. I was in my 20s. I was in Ottawa visiting my parents, and my father was a diplomat. And there was one meeting in the house of the Sri Lankan ambassador. You know, in Commonwealth countries, they're called high commissioners. So my father, who was also high commissioner, other high commissioners, then some very well-known scholars and professors, and they were there with their wives and all discussing God. What is God? Beautiful intellectual discussions. And suddenly, this is seared in my memory, the wife of the Sri Lankan High Commissioner got up and she said, you know, I'm a simple lady, but I want to tell you something. It was so magical that many years ago, something appeared in my womb. Then when the baby was delivered, it had these little tiny hands and feet and a beautiful face. And over time, the hands became bigger. She became bigger. She became a woman. And now she herself is a mother. You know, that to me is God. And you know, the gleam in her eyes, the radiance of her face, the exquisite movement of her hands as she was explaining, for me, it gave me the best taste of that connection with divinity. You might say, because this Divine Mother had moved from a knowledge of the tongue to a knowledge of the heart. This is key in the beauty of the Divine Mother, she who moves from the knowledge of the tongue to a knowledge of the heart. Just be with that for a few moments. What is also so beautiful about the Divine Mother is that in many ways she is the embodiment of what is at the heart, certainly of Islamic spiritual wisdom and other traditions also. You know, Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, he said, the entire wisdom of Islamic spirituality is found in the Quran, the holy book of Muslims. And the entire wisdom of the Quran can be found in the first chapter called Surah Fatiha. And the entire wisdom of the Surah Fatiha can be found in the Basmallah. This is the invocation that opens virtually every one of the 114 chapters of the Quran. Actually 113 of the 114 chapters. Bismillahir-Rahmanir-Rahim. In the name of God, who is boundlessly compassionate, infinitely merciful. This is the secret This is the distillation of the essence of spirituality. And a Bedouin once asked the Prophet Muhammad, tell me more the meaning about this Basmallah. And the Prophet Muhammad replied, this is the inner meaning, the secret to life. Have compassion for yourself and have compassion for others. That is the key to fulfillment, to joy, to becoming a more complete human being. But what is also beautiful is Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Rahman and Rahim is derived from the word Raham, both in Islam and Judaism. And the root of Raham is the womb. The womb. There is so much sacredness in the womb. Therefore, the great masters say, Divine Mother is begging us, besides expanding our mind, which is critical, can I also open my heart? The heart is mentioned 132 times in the Quran, and there's a verse, oh God, open my heart to thy light. And Divine Mother says, one wonderful way of opening your heart is to embrace not only your 10,000 joys of life, but also your 10,000 sorrows of life. Because they're bound to happen. It's a world of duality. There'll be joy, happiness. There'll also be sadness. Don't push away these difficult feelings. These difficult feelings, says the Quran, are sacred. The Quran says these all feelings come from God. And the mystics take that to mean that even these difficult feelings of anger, jealousy, hatred, sadness, there is a germ of sacredness in that. If it is difficult, if it is unacceptable, it is because it is separated from me. It is begging, imploring me to acknowledge it, to touch it with compassion, to embrace it, and to integrate it. It is begging to be, as Carl Jung, that famous psychologist who studied many Eastern traditions, said, it is begging to be kissed. His words are, it is only when you kiss your demons and dragons within you, that is when they turn into a prince or princess, to embrace our difficult feelings. Don't run towards pain and suffering, difficult feelings, just don't run away from it. And Divine Mother tells us, if you have tears, if you cry, this is a sign of strength, genuine tears. They are holy, they are sacred. The mystics say, wherever there are tears, divine mercy is shown. The mystics say, you know, when you cry, there's beautiful tears coming out of you. They water the invisible rose gardens in those mysterious realms. I love that quotation from Rumi, who uttered, please, I beg you, if you feel like crying, weep like the water wheel. Weep like the water wheel so that sweet herbs may grow in the courtyard of your soul. You know, I'm reminded of this other quotation, which I love very much, by this mystic who says, tears are colorless, thank God. Tears are colorless, thank God. Otherwise, my pillow would betray the secrets of my heart. Tears are colorless, thank God. Otherwise, my pillow would betray the secrets of my heart. And Rumi says, by embracing difficult feelings, through your tears, Allow your heart to break. It expands. It creates so much more capacity for joy to flow in, love to flow in. When there is spaciousness in the heart. His famous words, take a pickaxe, and break open your stony heart. The heart's matrix is glutted with rubies. Springs of laughter are buried in your chest. Take a pickaxe and break open your stony heart. The heart's matrix is glutted with rubies. Springs of laughter are buried in your chest. Just be with that for a few moments to allow myself to listen to Divine Mother. It's okay, it's beautiful, it's sacred for me to open my heart. Moving on, how do I honor Mother Earth, Mother, Divine Mother? It's by realizing that Divine Mother has such genuine, deep, indescribable reverence, love for life. You know, I remember very clearly, again, my father was a diplomat. He was posted to Calcutta, India. And we had a neighbor who had a security guard who lived there with his wife. And the wife gave birth to a child. And that security guard and the wife, they were so happy, you could feel their happiness, although they were just next door. And then in a few days' time, that baby died. And oh my God, the father was of course grieving, but the mother, my window was very close. Believe me, for a month, I heard the wails, the anguish, the pain, the agony of the mother crying. Daytime I was in school. At nighttime, believe me, hours into the night, crying and crying and crying and crying and crying. We all know that when you kill someone, no matter how you justify it, something is not right about it. Of course, we know that. It's taking a life. It's doing something sacrilegious. But the mystics say when you take a life, when you kill someone, you are defiling the womb of that mother. And everybody has a mother. You are defiling, you're devastating, you're making sacrilegious that sacred connection of that person who was killed to the womb of the mother. And everybody has a mother. And you know, as I'm speaking, I'm thinking of this story. I don't know how it relates, but it's coming to my mind. A story by Rumi of a mother and the child. And every time the child was doing something rebellious, not very good, the mother would say, if you do this, the boogeyman will get you. And the child didn't do it. The child got a little older and had to go to a new school, but required for the child to go through a graveyard. And the child felt very scared and came and told the mother, "Mother, I feel that when I go through the graveyard, the boogeyman is just behind me." And the mother said, "My dear son, you always listen to me. I tell you what, if you see the boogeyman behind you, turn around and go into him. And I promise you, the boogeyman will disappear. Will evaporate." And the little child said, "Mother, I believe you. I trust what you're saying. But what if the boogeyman's mother tells the boogeyman the same thing? Boogeymen have mothers too, you know." And that's the end of the story. We all have mothers. It is a sacred connection. But can I honor that? The connection between Divine Mother and justice. Justice is beautiful. But when it's leavened with the compassion, the higher awareness, the love, the sacredness of a divine mother, it can be truly more beautiful. You know, in my book I write about this news from Indonesia. A judge named, I remember his name still, Marzuki. He was giving judgment on a very elderly grandmother who had stolen tapioca from the plantation. And she was very remorseful. She said, "I'm so sorry, Your Honor, I did steal the tapioca, but it was to feed my starving grandchild, whose father, my son, is gravely ill, and his wife is also ill. And I didn't know what else to do to save the child of my grandchild. I stole the tapioca from the plantation." But the manager of the plantation said, "Your Honor, we've got to start setting a deterrent. She did something wrong. She needs to be punished." And the judge said to this elderly grandmother, "I'm so sorry. You have committed a crime. You have stolen. I have to fine you $100. It's a law. And if you cannot pay that, 2 years in jail." It's a true story. And she cried and cried. And the judge made that sentencing, but then he took off his hat. He was wearing a hat. He took out $100, put it in the hat. Then he asked the registrar to close the door, and he said, "Everybody in this courtroom here, everybody here, the people who are sitting here to hear the other cases, the officials, I'm fining each one of you $5 or some amount," he said, "because you are also responsible. You have allowed a child to starve. You have forced a grandmother to steal." And they collected the money, actually. And I think it was over $100. So the $100 was paid, the fine, and the $100 was given to the grandmother. So think about it, justice, but with the vibrations of the Divine Mother. You know, I'm thinking again of this wonderful quotation by Kabir, 16th century mystic from India, a Muslim and a Hindu, who said, you know, you can rub and rub and rub and rub your ethical skin till it shines, but if inside of you there is no music, of what use is it? You can rub and scrub your ethical skin till it shines, but if there is no music inside of you, of what use is it? Just be with it for a few moments. I'm looking at the time, so I'll shorten my talk. Divine Mother and a love for nature. You know, every time when my father was in diplomatic assignments, we used to go back to our village, and I used to be fascinated. When I used to go to the village, I would see on certain occasions lots of women bedecked with flowers, hugging trees, and I was asking, what is going on? They said, this is a retreat of healing only for women. Women have such a strong connection with nature. And I said, what are they doing? They said, well, you know, the women, they are sitting with their back against the trunk of the tree. And as they go into a meditation, they can feel the sap, the vigor in the roots coming up into them, empowering them, healing them. And as they sit back there, they also begin to feel the consciousness of the tree, which is high up there because the sun shines there at the top. It swoops down and envelops the woman. And she feels so loved, so held, so empowered. You know, it is women who tell us that you want to heal nature. Yes, you can do all those wonderful things, but every day, right now, send light and love to the trees, to the birds, to the stones, to the flowers from your heart. And ask forgiveness of them. Tell them, please forgive us. You might think it's not a big deal. It's a very big deal. Your vibrations of love and light is very healing. And you know from your own experience, if somebody who is injured emotionally, mentally, if one person says, please forgive me, it is so healing. You know, Prophet Muhammad said, the earth is like your mother. Honor her, protect her. We can add one more item to it. The Divine Mother says, learn from her. Anything you want to learn about life, you can learn from nature, Divine Mother says. That is why the Islamic mystics, one of them has said, Hazrat Inayat Khan, that the holiest of manuscripts, the holiest of holy books is nature. Anything you want to know, anything you want to learn, you can learn from nature. Sincerity, you know, the Hindus say, plant a mango seed, a mango tree grows. It is so sincere. Generosity, all the traditions say, look at a fruit tree. It keeps on yielding fruits again and again and again and again, yet it never consumes, eats its own fruits. It is so gracious. It is so generous. As a person who loves interfaith, I can learn from trees. The branches of the tree, they sway differently in the wind, but they're all connected at the roots. Okay, 2 very quick points. Divine Mother says, don't be so scared about the afterlife, about the fires of hell. You know, it's a true story. The Prophet Muhammad was talking with his companions about the fires of hell, and there was some chaotic scene out there, and everybody was transfixed. There was a mother who was desperately looking for her lost child, a baby. And before they could go and help, the mother found the baby, but then she held the baby with such tenderness, with such sacred tears, that the companions all wept and wept and wept. And the Prophet Muhammad said, did you watch that mother? How she loves her child? I want to tell you something. God loves you, divinity loves you, spirit loves you much more than the mother loves her child. And then he asked a question, do you think this mother would ever throw her child into the fire? And of course, there is that wonderful example of that beloved female sage, Rabia, you know, whose great prayer was, oh God, please, please, if I worship you because I'm scared of the fires of hell, burn me in hell. If I worship you because I lust for the riches, the beauty, the sensual pleasures of heaven, stop me, bar me from its gates. But if I worship you for your sake, I beg you, I implore you, begrudge me not your everlasting beauty. Lastly, it's been a long time, I'm just going a little bit over. You know, Divine Mother teaches us, particularly at this time, to really understand the beauty, the power, the majesty of allyship, of getting together in grassroots organizations, those who are like-minded. See, the Quran has a verse that says, you did not climb the steep path in your work for justice, in your work for service. And the Quran says, well, what can I tell you about the steep path? The first line is, it's about freeing a slave from bondage. It's about, you can do all kinds of service, but Jamal, do you have the courage, do you have the grace to face injustice and do something about it? I might say, but they are tyrants, despots. It's a monumental problem. I cannot do it. Allah in the verse says, fear not, dear one. I'm here. I see and hear everything. But again, there's another verse that says, which implies you have to do it. Allah will not send a thunderbolt to get rid of despots and tyrants. In fact, there's a tongue-in-cheek verse that says, Allah is not going to come down in the shadow of clouds with angels. You've got to do something yourself with patience, persistence, piety, compassion, all the qualities of Divine Mother. And there's one more quality of the Divine Mother. By joining hands with other groups who are like-minded, grassroots organizations, and the collective movement, persistent work over time of these grassroots organizations, their power can be phenomenal. The collective waves of an ocean can overcome continents. That's why Rumi says, focus on this. The ocean takes care of every wave till it reaches its shore. You're given more help than you'll ever know. Prophet Muhammad said, take one step towards God. God takes 7 steps towards you. Walk towards God. God comes running. And the collective power of, I repeat, grassroots organizations working together, it has the blessing, it has the empowerment, it has the wisdom of Divine Mother. If you don't believe it, in my own lifetime, I'm so shocked. In my own lifetime, communism dissolved. The Berlin Wall came down. Apartheid also fell down. For the first time, an African American was elected to the White House. You know, what we have not realized, there is the power of the Divine Mother of grassroots organization working in allyship with one another, creating a movement, a vibration, a momentum that can create wonders and miracles. With that, my friend, just become very still. And hopefully, something has splashed in your heart. If it's something beautiful, please allow it to perfume your heart. And just be still, and I'll do a short meditation. Close your eyes. Please focus on your nostril. And simply be present with your breath as you inhale and as you exhale. Just this much. And as you do so, we are giving ourselves permission to become more tranquil, relaxed, calm. And now letting go of this, eyes still closed, focus on the first chakra, the base of the spine, in the sacrum area, and make an intention to send out a beautiful cord of divine light, any color. Remember, intention equals action in the subtle realms. This divine light flowing from the sacrum area, going down, way down, deep, deep, deep into Mother Earth, connecting us to the womb of Mother Earth, feeling a sense of rootedness, belonging, feeling secure, connected. Please feel that. letting go of that. This time focusing on the crown chakra, the top of the head. And this time make an intention to send a beautiful cord of divine light, any color, flowing, radiating from the crown chakra, going upwards, way up, higher, higher, even higher, piercing those mysterious realms, and connecting us to the heart of heaven. Feel that, please. And now letting go of that, and this time focus on the heart. The heart is magical. Remember those words, the revelation that came to the Prophet Muhammad in a dream, where God says, "Beloved one, I cannot be contained in the space of the earth. I cannot be contained in the space of the heavens, but I can be contained in the space of the pure, loving heart." It's a magical space. The space is infinite. Just be with that. And now, tell the heart, tell that infinite space, "I love you," with feeling. Or please help me to love you. Remember that space is infinite. "I love you. Please help me to love you." You can go on and say, "Thank you. I am so grateful." You can make it a prayer. "Please help me. I need help. I surrender to you." But keep planting beautiful words into that magical, infinite, divine space. Again and again and again and again. And now stop saying anything at all. Become very still. But be open to receiving the blessings of mystery and the most beautiful divine vibrations filled with love, blessings, healing, empowerment, transformation is going deep, deep, deep inside of you. Feeling grateful. And as I do this chant, coming into awareness. And you can join me in the chant. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. La ilaha illallahu. La ilaha illallah. And just become very still. And Sally Jo will offer music. Do you want to say something?
This next meditative piece is called The Bell of the Afternoon by Enrique Granados.
you so much, Sally Jo. I can do the,
So this is the time in our service when we share our material wealth with the community. All throughout the week and the month, the bills are getting paid and volunteers are working around the building to clean up, to keep the place in a beautiful situation so that we can meet here and have our programs here. And we appreciate all the help that people give us. Jamal, I'll let you pass the plate. And we know there are people out in the ether world that are watching from a distance who are also giving online at our website, interfaithcommunitysanctuary.org. We appreciate that deeply. That keeps us going and helps us to keep our historic and sacred building in good condition and weathering all of the elements with the winter coming up and all the wonderful programs, as we were saying, that we're having, and we appreciate all of everybody's support on that. Thank you.
So we'd like to tell you a little bit about what's coming up. I think we're good. And next week, I'll be doing a worship service. Hope you can join us. And then we're having our annual members retreat, which is on Saturday, September 3rd. So if you are a member, please plan to come. It'll be from 10 to 2. And we're focusing and attuning ourselves to beauty, to discovering beauty in the world. And then the next day, on Sunday, September 4th, we have a guest presenter, as we do each month, and it's Reverend Judith Laxer. And it turns out that that day is World Goddess Day, so she's going to come and share about the goddess with us. It'll be quite lovely. And I'm sure there's more things. Oh, yes. On the International Day of Peace, which is on Wednesday, September 21st, we're now creating a 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. 12-hour vigil for peace. And each hour will be a different offering. So if that interests you, let me know, and I'll be scheduling that. All I know at this point is there'll be a 9 o'clock opening, and there'll be a universal worship at noon. That much we know. But that Wednesday, September 21st, the International Day of Peace. Thank you.
So, my dear friends, before we bring this to a close, I think hopefully on the streaming line we have our beloved, heartfelt friend Sasha and her daughter. And we ask that we send Sasha prayers of recovery. She's such a beloved member of our community, and we pray that she returns to our sanctuary in the quickest possible time. Let's send Sasha a heartfelt love, light of healing with increased necessity from the core of our being. Thank you. And thank you, Ariel, for being there and taking care of her. And heartfelt thanks to Brother Pony for being such a devoted, loving husband. I also want to say, I don't know if Sally Brandenfels is there. She's a dear friend of mine and a precious being, a truly genuine, precious human being who just recently lost her husband, beloved Martin. So let's send prayers of light and love to Sally Brandenfels, my dear heartfelt friend. May these prayers bring ease and comfort to your heart. And may we celebrate Brother Martin soaring joyously with angels in those mysterious realms. Thank you, my dear friends. And now we'll bring this to a close, and the streaming will finish after the blessing. But we can continue to meet if you want to. And don't forget, there's good food downstairs. The real service starts over friendship, over beverages and delicious food. We are blessed by your presence, O Lord. Take a deep breath. We are filled with your blessings, Allah. La ilaha illallah. La ilaha illallah. La ilaha illallah. Ya Allah. One more time. We are blessed by your presence, O Lord. Deep breath. We are filled with your blessings, Allah. La ilaha illallah. La ilaha illallah. La ilaha illallah. Ya Allah. So my dear friends,